babbling little kid in a corner or something. I mean, it's going to be there, but we have to be careful to distinguish between the person I'm talking to and the chatter that shows up. So what else does your mind give you about what I'm saying right now? What are you feeling right now? Thinking right now?
A little bit of hope.
Okay.
But also questions, again.
Okay.
About this new way of going out in the field and wandering around rather than digging, the holes being there, what's out there that I've been missing.
Oh, interesting. So thank your mind for that. Although do notice that I didn't say quite that. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll just watch what comes up. See, if we're in this situation, the first thing that we have to do is we're going to have to drop this shovel. So do you have it? Let me put it this. Well, what comes up as I say this? What are you pulled to want to do? What's the thing that occurs to you right now? Okay, so what I need to do is, what he's saying is, what I need to do is
to find a different solution to my problems.
Okay. Is that a new thought for you?
Not really.
No, it isn't it? In fact, if we could smell antiquity, this thing has like dust on it. I mean, this is old, is it not?
It feels that way.
It feels that way. And in fact, when you buy those books, isn't that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe this is the way that you dig. So at least let's not do that. So let's not try to figure this thing out. Is it fair to say that you've been trying to figure it out?
I would say that that's fair.
Okay. So whatever we do, let's not try to figure it out.
So what do we do?
Well, I mean, I have thoughts about things to do, but first we have to start here. Within the system in which you've been functioning, doing the best you can and the logical, reasonable, sensible, normal things, what I want you to notice is this, in this chair, in this room, talking to this shrink is where you end up. This is where it takes you. It's not going to take you somewhere else. I don't have any magic in here that's going to take you somewhere else within this system. So let's just start. Thank your mind for wanting to know the solution, which is rather like you. And let's just start with this situation that all of this effort hasn't paid off. And maybe just consider the possibility that in fact, all this solution is part of the problem. It's part of the problem. I mean, look at the benefits. Does this look like a problem or a solution? See, I think you have a secret suspicion that I've got like a big shovel, that I can really get in there and dig with you. But I don't want to do that. Even if I had it, I don't want to do that. Because more and different and better of whatever that you've been doing already is not going to do this. We have to start, okay. Is it fair to say you have a feeling that you're stuck?
My wheels are spinning.
Okay.
Stuck.
You're stuck. Suppose here's the situation. Suppose what's really going on, you're stuck. Let's start there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and roll a little bit. The concerns I'd have is that you'd have the feeling that I'm sort of browbeating a client or something, or being one up. I think it's very important that this be done on an even level. I'd be interested if I go out and roll and risk this. Do you feel as though you're being one-upped here?
A little bit.
A little bit. You're having that thought anyway. Are you confused?
A little bit.
Yeah, which I would take as a good sign. You're also, what else has come up? Interested?
Yes.
You said the word hopeful. Isn't that weird? I mean, I want you to get how weird that is. I'm saying, there is no way out. And that feels hopeful. Well,
But I'm thinking that you have an agenda.
Exactly, exactly. Well, and because I'm coming at it from left field, this is a technology that's especially good with multi-problem patients who are stuck, who've been through the mill, and I'm kind of treating this person that way. Been through therapy, tried the usual things, hadn't worked. And it's an oddest dang thing. If you just go with the experience of I've tried everything and nothing works and say, yeah, that's it. It somehow feels hopeful because it's a new cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I've been through this so many times, for somebody to tell me that what you're doing is not necessarily going to help you, then that makes sense. Gives me something.
Okay. Now the feeling that I'm a little bit one up, I would take that as a negative sign if it really were there. If I had a longer period of time to work, I think I could do a little, don't turn me down that much. I think I could do a little bit better job of that. Let's go to a sort of a next logical step. And we're now in a, could be later in this session or maybe in the next session, okay? So Candace, we sort of, identified one, or sort of the core of a problem here. The conscious, deliberate, purposeful effort doesn't pay off here. Mm-hmm. And yet you don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're completely wiping me out, are you not? Is it okay? Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to give a little form to that and see if it fits. I'm actually going to try to say what part of what I think the game is that you've been playing. It's just like that Reno metaphor I was talking about last time. It's like if you're playing a game that's fixed, you've already lost as soon as you start playing, right? It's fixed. This is a game like that, I would suggest. So let's look and see if this fits. In the world outside the skin, when you don't like something, figure out how to get rid of it and get rid of it. And in lots of areas of your life that works. If you've got dirt on the floor and you want a vacuum cleaner, you can get rid of it. If you've got paint peeling off your walls and you want to have them painted right, you can correct that. What you've been struggling with, despite your effort, doesn't seem to work like that. And now here's what I want to suggest to you, is that maybe the rules are different. In 95% of life, it works like that, but in this last little part, which happens to be the world inside the skin, where fear or confidence lies, maybe it's something more like this. If you're not willing to have these things, you will. So, like, for example, you've been trying not to be afraid. Okay, what has happened?
I'm still afraid.
Yeah. In fact, even more afraid, true?
Yeah.
Your life's smaller and smaller and smaller. Suppose it's like that. If you're not willing to have fear, you will. I mean, it could be like that. And I'm not asking you to believe this. In fact, I suggest you not believe this. I'm just asking you to open up to a possibility that it's like that. So all the things that you learn out here that work, and it works with your dirt on the floor, doesn't work over here. In fact, it works the exact opposite. I was cleaning out my son's drawer and actually thought, let's see if I've got it here. That's an old one. I don't know where he got it. It's you get these kind of things as fairs and stuff. You ever seen one of these? It's called the Chinese handcuff.
No.
You ever seen one? Okay. This one's so decrepit it's going to fall apart. But here, I want you to do something for me. Stick your finger out. Shove that in there. And now put your finger on the other side. Yeah. Now it's so decrepit, if you pull very hard, it's going to fall apart. But pull out gently, and I'll help you out a little bit and see what happens.
Pull?
What's happening?
It's not really falling apart, I don't think.
No, but what's it doing? It's grabbing onto your fingers, right?
Right.
Right. Suppose it's like that. Suppose this is your fear. Mm-hmm. I am going to pull it right apart. We'll get a little tug out of it. This is your fear. I don't want that. I don't want that. Ah. Could be like that. Look, You ever heard of quicksand? You've seen pictures of it? People get caught in quicksand. You know how they get in deep trouble with quicksand? They get in it, they're in a little bit, and what do they try to do?
Try to lift their feet.
They try to get out of it, and they do that by the normal way, because 99.99% of the ways to get out of things, what you do is you step out of it, right?
Right.
If you do that in quicksand and don't stop it, it will take everything you've got. Because as you pick one up, it pushes it down. Now it's even farther. The suction is there. Then you pick the other one up, it pushes it down. Now you're even farther, and the suction is there. What you have to do with quicksand is do you know what you have to do? Do you know the deal? You lie out flat on the surface. You get fully in contact with it. It's the only safe thing to do. But everything in your mind is telling you, I've got to get out of this. I am not safe. This is dangerous. And yet what was actually called for here is to get fully in contact with it. And that's the only safe thing to do. Maybe your fear's like that.
So I need to sort of accept it or embrace it? But what would that mean?
Well, I mean, I like the words, and the words aren't going to be helpful here. There is a move in here that we can learn. And it's a skill. It's like hitting a baseball. You play any sports? What do you play?
I play, well, sometimes I go swimming.
Okay. Have you ever really tried to talk to yourself about swimming, you know, that you have to swim the perfect stroke and, okay. Does that interfere with your swimming?
I think so.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a book called Inner Swimming, but there is Inner Tennis, Inner Golf, and all the rest of it, because like minds are not very good at swimming. Bodies are pretty good at it. Maybe it's the same kind of deal. That this is more like that. That this is a skill that you can learn, but it's not a skill that your mind can learn. There's 4 of us in here. Look, okay, let me give you an example. You go to a social situation. You're stuck, blah, 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 you don't want to get out of the house, you go to a social situation, you walk in, there's strangers. People who don't, okay, what are you going to feel?
My heart's going to start beating really
Right.
fast. I'm going to feel like I'll start shaking.
Right. What do you think you were going to feel?
That's pretty much what I thought I was going to feel.
Yeah, that is what you're going to feel.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I guess so. I guess that's where I have.
Well, that's an issue. That's an issue, isn't it?
It's
Look.
uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. Well, yeah, in one sense of the term. Comfort actually comes from a Latin, cum means with, fort comes from fortis, same thing as a fort, means strength, with strength. And I think what has been happening here is in the name of comfort, i.e. feeling strong, you've been getting less and less comfortable, i.e. getting with your strength. Comfort the behavior is not the same thing as comfort the feeling. It'll eventually produce comfort the feeling, maybe, but the reverse is not true. And I think what we need to do is to find your strength. My claim is, in fact, I know that you have the strength to do this, to learn this. I also know your mind doesn't. It doesn't have a clue and can't. This is not. It's just like your mind trying to think swimming. You don't think swimming. Anyway, so that's just words, yada, yada, yada. Excuse me for being so wordy. Put it to one side. But, let the words roll around. We'll see what has value in it. Let me just do something that relates to that. I'm going to ask you to remember something. It's very simple. If you remember it, really good things are going to happen. In fact, I'll give you $1 million. Really, I mean it. The number, what I'm going to ask you to remember are the numbers, and here they are. 1, 2, 3. So what are they?
1, 2, 3.
Good. Now don't forget it. It's very, very, very important that you not forget it because it'll be worth $1 million. The numbers are?
1, 2, 3.
Okay. Do you think it's possible if I tapped on your shoulder 5 years from now and said, what are the numbers that you could tell me?
I think it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's ridiculous? You're going to carry around in your head 1, 2, 3. Why?
To get $1 million.
Right, because I said so. By the way, there's no $1 million. I lied. What are the numbers?
1, 2, 3.
Okay. And even though now you know I lied and I tapped on your shoulder and I said, what are the numbers? Do you think it's possible you might be able to tell me?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the numbers?
1, 2, 3.
Okay. All right, now I want you to have, it's really, really important that it no longer be 1, 2, 3. In fact, I want the answer to have absolutely nothing to do with 1, 2, 3. I don't want it to connect to it, relate to it in any way, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I ask you the question again, but I don't want that old answer to be the answer, and it must have no connection to it at all. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what are the numbers?
Cats, frogs, and horses.
Okay. Did you do what I asked you?
I believe I did.
Okay, how do you know that you did, what did I ask you?
To say, not to say the numbers.
What numbers?
1, 2, 3.
And you knew that you did that? Cats, dogs, and horses?
Yeah.
How did you know that you did it? Look, you didn't have cat, dogs, and horses. You had cats, dogs, horses, not 1, 2, 3. Well, that's 1, 2, 3. I didn't ask you to, I said anything connected to it. Have you ever had this happen? You go into a social situation and for some reason, things are going okay. Just for a little while. Okay? And then you notice it. What happens?
I start feeling all the things I always feel in
Exactly.
situations.
I'm feeling comfortable here. I'm feeling relaxed and not anxious. Oh no, I'm now feeling a little anxious. True?
Yeah.
I always want to come back to this possibility that maybe this is a rigged game. That you've done the rational, logical, reasonable, sensible things. It's just that that's not what works here. We're going to have to do something different.
Yeah.
Suppose that if I had, this little metaphor for this kind of situation, suppose I had wired up to a polygraph that was the best polygraph that's ever been made, and I'll know if you're anxious, okay? And I'm going to simply evaluate to see whether or not you're anxious. But to motivate you, I have here a .44 Magnum, which I'm going to hold to your temple. And I'm going to ask you to be relaxed. If you get nervous, I'm going to shoot you. What's going to happen?
I'm going to be really nervous.
You're dead. If I mean it, you're dead, right?
Yeah.
But you know, this is, Candace, you have that. You've got something that's better than a gazillion-dollar polygraph. You've got your own nervous system. And you've got something more powerful than a gun. As I see it, in a way, you've got your whole life on the line. You're living your life about this big. So when you go into a social situation, you're going in like this. Relax. Guess what you get? What else could happen?
I guess I fail. I can't succeed.
Well, you fail at controlling anxiety. Isn't the first thing happen that you have anxiety? You evaluate it as bad, you don't want it, and you indeed say, I fail, right? But let's start with the first part. In this situation, you have anxiety. Me too. In fact, How many people do you think are going to pass that test?
In a situation where they would be, I guess nobody would.
So you're going to be an exception?
I guess not.
Not likely. Now, I'm not saying any of this to help you right now. I don't expect this to make you feel better or anything like that. What are you feeling right now?
A lot of different things.
Okay. Give me examples, a couple of things come up.
Feelings.
I'll take thoughts too.
You'll take thoughts too.
Yeah.
I feel more like there's like a clearing I can see. Just a little bit of
Yeah.
a clearing. So that's not a thought or a feeling.
Okay. Okay. There's a little opening you sense. Okay. What else?
Well, I was feeling confused a little bit earlier, and
Good.
now I'm feeling that lifting a bit.
Okay.
So I'm feeling, I guess I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful.
Okay. Well, so notice all that. And one thing I do want you to notice, though, is that I'm not trying to do this to help you feel hopeful. It's just interesting that that's what comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll kind of make room for whatever comes up. I'm going to pause here. Where am I? 1:30. Okay. I don't know how skillfully that was done, but I'm trying to open up a domain in which conscious, deliberate, purposeful control is a problem and not a solution. I think applied inside the skin, it's just not very effective, and I don't think it's necessary. And this is just a fast way to cut around all that and get onto more reasonable, more powerful things. I guess I could take a couple questions and then we'll proceed on if there are ones that occur to you or things that are being pulled right now. Go ahead.
The thing that occurs to me is that at least the clients I work with, when you started broaching the whole idea of anxiety, that she's going to be stuck with it. I mean, most of my clients would go, hell no, I can't deal with this. This is overwhelming, forget it. She was much more accepting than my clients.
Okay, why don't you do it then? So say it. Say what you think your clients would have said.
They would say, oh no, I can't feel, no, I'm not feeling fear. That's just, I can't, no.
Okay, so
I'm
here's
going there.
here's one thing I want to ask you. Is this old?
Yeah,
What you just said, this is not new.
no,
This is what you've been doing.
yes.
Okay. I want you who do you trust, your mind or your experience? Your experience has been telling you that the fruits of all that is this. Not something else, it's this. It's ending up here. It's having your life just like this. It's what you've been doing, and here's what it's produced. And you're telling me, oh, no, I need to do that which has already not worked for me, and you need to help me do that. I'm not going to do that.
Makes me feel very hopeless then.
Okay, so thank your mind for that thought. And look, just logically, if you are doing that which has not paid off, do you think it now will pay off? Not likely, right? Who are you going to trust? You're going to trust your experience or your mind?
Right now, neither one of them.
Okay. Your mind's been telling you various things you need to do, and you've been doing them, haven't you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
If you had an investment advisor that paid off as well as that mind, you'd fire it. I mean, how much suffering is needed? How much pain is required?
But that's what I'm trying to stop, is the pain.
Yeah, exactly. And just consider the
And
possibility.
you're telling me I'm supposed to feel it?
Well, what you're hearing me say right now is not what I'm saying.
Sounds like what you're saying.
Right, on the other side of that, you'll be able to check this out. I'm not just talking, later on we'll be able to check this out. And let's start with what you know directly in experience, which is that as you've tried to mount this agenda that you stated so beautifully, I mean, it's elegant, it's beautiful, it's exactly what minds do, it hasn't paid off for you.
Right.
Okay, good. Let's start there. So that's what, that's what I'd do. I mean, I would try to just go with the resistance. I don't think the resistance is a problem between us. It's an opportunity to work on what the real problem is. I mean, when somebody says, yeah, but, they're giving you where they are, and that's the real deal. So, it's perfect that it came up. It's like, great, we're finally there. Here it is. It's not like, oh, you're spoiling my wonderful therapy. This is the therapy. Okay. Okay, now, normally I might at this point try to go into issues of spirituality and self, but it's very, very difficult to do that in short demonstrations because it's implicit. Maybe you can kind of feel it in a funny way in what I've been doing, a sort of sense, and maybe later as we do some more that'll show up. But I just don't have time because most of the technologies that I have and they're laid out are like 25-minute eyes closed exercises and so forth. Instead, I'm going to try to go into issues of willingness and diffusion. And if you get nothing out of this other than the diffusion move, you can do straight ahead cognitive therapy with diffusion techniques and accomplish normal goals of cognitive therapy, decrease in believability of negative or irrational thoughts in a powerful way. So even if you don't buy the ACT stuff and all that, you can use this technology. Okay, so we'll imagine that we're in another session or later on in this same session. So what I want you to give me is, let's back up a little bit.